Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Wise, and I'm glad you've joined me here this afternoon. This is Wise Up Wednesday, and it is a beautiful day here in coastal Virginia. The weather is in the 70s, and I'm just enjoying this day and grateful for this day. Last week, we talked about gratitude in the workplace, and I'm taking this from Leading with Gratitude, the 8 practices leadership can take in business to create extraordinary results. And, it's interesting, gratitude. How are we showing it in our lives? Are we doing it effectively, or could we use some improvement? My name is Brenda Wise. My company is Success Training and Consulting. And one of the ways that I love to help organizations empower organizations is through gratitude, whether it be for the employees or for our customers, because that can make all the difference in the profitability and success in our business. So I'd like to share with you 8 different practices that you can start incorporating today. It's not rocket science, folks. It is simple. It's just practicing and doing it consistently in our lives every day. There's a great quote by Henry David Thoreau. And he says, "The greatest compliment when they ask me my opinion and they attend to the answer." You see, so oftentimes we ask for people's opinion, but then we don't do anything with it. We don't take their advice or their suggestions, and more importantly, we don't implement it. Well, that's probably one of the worst things that we can do in building team and being a leader is not taking the suggestions when asked for and trying in some way to implement. Can everything be implemented? No. But having the open dialogue for them to feel engaged and valued, it's certainly a great place to start. So let's look at some of the things. It's so important in business that not only are we serving and showing gratitude to our employees, but that in turn is also shown to our customers. Because when an employee is felt grateful and feels valued and feels appreciated, then they're much more likely to do the same with the customer. But the results is true also. When they don't feel like they are valued and their contribution means anything, then that's going to carry right over to the customers. And that's the last thing we want to do, is we want to keep and create loyal, raving fans. And if we're not having that kind of relationship with them, they're going to go to your competition. They're going to go to my competition. So one of the greatest things we can do in the workplace is to show gratitude to our employees and to our customers. But today we're focusing on our customers. So it's so oftentimes reflected how we treat each other in the workspace as well as our customers. So let's look at some of the things that showing gratitude in the workplace can do. Number one, it can certainly increase engagement. Very, very important. It can also help to have people step up and take more authority, take more ownership, take more pride in what they are doing. We can also look at the ways that it motivates people, it inspires people to contribute more. Remember, gratitude begets gratitude. So when we have that kind of flow in the organization, within our teams, things function a lot better and people are happier. What about rewarding ideas? Are they being implemented when suggestions are made, and are they being acknowledged? There's nothing worse, and we talked a little bit about this last week, is for the team or an individual to create a suggestion, a storyboard, whatever, and then when the manager goes to present it, takes all the praise, all the acknowledgement. That can certainly destroy a team just like that. So we want to be very careful. Why is that done? Managers being insecure, feeling like imposters, ego. There's so many reasons why that happens, but we've got to be on guard and be aware and uncover that and create new behaviors when we see that happening, because that is certainly not a fair thing to do in the workplace. Also, specificity. When asking questions like, how can we specifically save monies on this? Or how can we be more efficient on the line with this type of production? Asking very specific questions rather than, how can we save money in the organization? People don't always think well like that. They need some specificity, like how can we improve this process within our workflow to better serve our customers? That's something more tangible, something more specific that people can get around and do something about. So the first thing we want to look at in these 8 principles is assume a positive intent. We need to make sure that we're framing it in our mind as managers that they have positive intent. Not everybody is going to be sabotaging. That does happen when people don't feel appreciated and acknowledged, and that manager takes all the credit over and over and over again, then people do start sabotaging the process and the organization, and that's detrimental to all. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So how do we do that? Creativity inspires trust. Creativity inspires trust. When people know they have the freedom to be creative and think of new and different ways to do their job or the process, that helps everybody win. Staying composed. When you're assuming a positive intent and you're dealing with perhaps a situation, number one, you want to make sure that you're gathering all the facts. Pick up the phone and talk to somebody. We have gotten into such a role of emails and text and emails and text. That is not the way you communicate effectively with your team. You've got to get out from behind the desk, pick up the phone, or go and meet with them and have a conversation. That's most important. Another thing that we can do is to ask them what can be done differently in the future when we face this situation. Again, get feedback so that perhaps the situation doesn't have to arise again, or if it does, we know how to better respond in that situation. And pay close attention. Pay close attention to the communications. You know, some people like a verbal communication, other people like communication in different ways. So find out what is most effective for the individual when receiving and giving communications. The second thing we want to look at is walk in the employee's shoes. We've heard that so many times, you know, walk in somebody else's shoes, see how they feel. We need to be empathetic listeners, and we need to practice empathy, because that's just like a muscle. And if we don't use the muscles, we have apathy. So we need to really practice that empathy muscle and be consistent with that. Also, radical candor. Be open, be honest, be direct to people. Don't play games. Gosh, life's hard enough. You don't need to play games. Be very open with people. They can take that. You know, people can deal with what they know. They can't deal with what they don't know. So we need to be open, honest, direct, and forthcoming. You know, ask them, you know, how's their day going? How are they approaching their business? And what are they, you know, what do they feel a sense of accomplishment in their business? Because it may be something pertaining to them. You may not even have a sense of it. But if you're open to and willing to have them share with you and ask them, then they're much more willing to share if somebody asks. And that's all it takes sometimes. The next thing we want to look at is look for small wins. You know, it's not always the big things, that accomplishments that we want to acknowledge. We want to look for the small things that people do every single day at their job that need to be acknowledged and appreciated. You know, ask your team to give shout outs to each other. You know, if they see somebody doing something good, hey, acknowledge that. Have a box where people can put feedback if they don't feel comfortable going directly to the manager. Preferably they do, but if they don't, They can give suggestions, but we've got to make sure that those suggestions are acknowledged. And not everything's going to work and not everything's going to be possible. But if they see us doing that, taking heed to what they're recommending or suggestion and taking it up the line chain of command, then they're much more apt to give and do more of that. Another great thing to do is start your meeting by going around the room and asking people, what are they feel good about? What did they accomplish? What have they seen somebody else on their team accomplish that needs to be acknowledged? Again, that is building that sense of we, not me mindset. And that's what we need to move forward in organizations to be profitable and be successful. It's easy to take steps and it's easy not to take these steps. We want to make sure that we boost motivation, and acknowledgement is one of the best ways to do that. Be creative, problem solving, help people employ good behaviors that we want to instill and get more of. Express appreciation for, again, the small things as well as the more significant contributions, and identify top performers. It's very interesting because so oftentimes when people are high producers or top performers, they don't get themselves a lot of accolades or acknowledgement because people think, oh, well, they're just so good. I don't need to congratulate them. They already know it. They did a survey and they asked top producers and leaders why they left. And do you know the simplest of response was, because nobody asked me to stay. Again, what happens is when people aren't acknowledged, they don't feel appreciated, and so they're going to go away. It happens to the employees and it happens to the customer. When we are not acknowledging them and thanking them for their business, knowing that we've got competition all around us, everybody does. And if we're not serving them and showing our gratitude to them, it doesn't create loyalty. And when that next person or business comes up that does the same thing that you may do, that employee is going to have no regrets from moving on to somebody else because you've given them no reason to stay. You've created no loyalty. So we need to be mindful that it's employees and it's our customers that we really need to pay attention to. Be willing again to give shout outs. Again, acknowledge. That never gets old and there's never too much of it. So be mindful of that. The other side of gratitude, number one is seeing and acknowledging. The other side is expressing gratitude to the individual, to the employee, and to the team. So one thing to be mindful of is you want to give gratitude now. You want to give it often, and do not be afraid of giving it. Again, you can't give too much gratitude. It is what makes life wonderful. It's kind of like a banana. Gratitude does not keep. So you can't go, oh, I saw somebody do something really good. I'll tell them on Friday at the team meeting. No. You want to do that, but you also want to acknowledge them right then and there when you see them shine, because that's where they can really get anchored into, wow, they saw me, they acknowledged me. Gratitude also recharges and invigorates people and inspires people. And a question was asked, how often should I be giving gratitude to my team? It's an interesting question to ask, isn't it? How often should I give gratitude? Well, they said a minimum of once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, or at least 35 times a year. We've got CEOs, as I mentioned in the last one, he had 5,000 employees, 5,000. And he writes a couple of dozen thank yous and acknowledgments every single day. And he does it on their birthday. So just to practice, if you've only got 1,000 employees or 500 employees, you can probably do it a whole lot easier. Or if you've just got a team of 5 or 10, you can definitely do it a lot easier. So don't make excuses. It's easy to do. And once you start doing it, you feel better, the team feels better, and everybody feels better. So it's a win-win when you show gratitude and express it. Positive reinforcement. Do it frequently, because again, when you acknowledge the behavior that you want to see, you're going to get more of that behavior. When you don't acknowledge it, then you will not get more of it. People are meant and built to please. We like to please. We like to please others. We like to feel appreciated and acknowledged when we do so. So it's kind of innately built into us that most people, not all, but most, do care about and like to receive appreciation and acknowledgement and gratitude. Number 5 is to tailor the feedback to the individual. Not everybody operates the same way. Not everybody communicates the same way. So it's the same with acknowledgement. The next body of knowledge I'll bring to you is 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. I was given that by an HR director, and it's just very powerful. So I look forward to sharing that with you as well. But again, how do we need to acknowledge people? Because everybody's different. That person that you bring up the stage, do lots of accolades and fanfare for, that may totally mortify them. They don't want to be in front of everybody. They might simply like for you as the manager to pull them aside, look them in the eye, and sincerely say, I appreciate you. That's it. Thank you for the job that you do. That's all people want to hear, and that's all they want to get. Again, it's not rocket science. It's easy. We just have to be consistent in our practices of doing that. There's a lot of different levels and ways to acknowledge. We've got people that, just day to day, like the acknowledgement. Then we've got people that, the level of award, again, commensurate with the accomplishment and or contribution. So we've got somebody who may, over time, really start improving and stepping up their game. That certainly needs to be acknowledged. We've got somebody who may go over and above at their job or for another team in the organization. That can certainly be acknowledged. We also have somebody who is making a significant contribution, and we see it. We feel the effects of it in the organization. That's another way to reward and acknowledge. And then we've got people that contribute to the bottom line. I talked last time about a custodian in a hospital. Again, a very lowly job, if you will. It's not the prestigious CEO or senior manager or senior VP or anything like that. But we need everybody in the organization. And there's a company, airline, and they were looking at how can we save money on jet fuel to reduce our cost and be more profitable. And so they put this question out, and it was very specific. How can we save jet fuel? Well, one of the workers, who is the one that takes and dumps the sanitary from the plane, he said if we descaled those sanitary lines, we would save thousands of dollars on fuel. And come to find out, they did. The company ended up saving hundreds and thousands of dollars by, number one, asking a very specific question. How can we reduce the cost of fuel for these planes? What can we do differently? Obviously, we can't reduce the number of passengers or the baggage or whatever. They already do that now. So what can we do? And that was his contribution. That was his feedback, and it saved the company big time. Many different ways to do this. Number 6 is going to be reinforce core values. So oftentimes companies will have the values plastered on every wall. They'll give out cards, you carry around in your pocket so you know all of the values. They're recorded, or they're reinforced at team meetings, at organizational town halls, all of that stuff. If somebody comes to work for an organization, oftentimes it's going to be because the values align. Gratitude is a big deal for me. I love gratitude. I love showing gratitude. I love teaching businesses how to learn how to be more grateful and share that with their employees as well as with their customers. It aligns with who I am and what I share and what I teach others. So that's very, very important, is alignment. And also, it's not about talking the talk. If you've got those values posted, leadership needs to lead with those values. If there is conflict, you need to go back to what are the core values of the organization to mitigate or go through and move through conflict. Another important thing to do. Another thing to do, number 7, would be make it a peer-to-peer thing. It's very, very important that as management, senior, middle management, that we acknowledge our employees and our teams. But we also want to engender that peer will acknowledge peer. So we will give each other accolades when we see a teammate doing something right or accomplishing something. We want to give a shout out. We want to call them out because that creates a very homogeneous team where people are happy, they feel supported, they're free to speak, they're free to share their ideas, and they're very willing to ask for help. You see, remember that oftentimes managers aren't comfortable with asking for help, but when you have a camaraderie, a support system within a team, within an organization, people will feel more likely to be okay to ask for help, and that will help the organization as a whole. Gamification, another way to give acknowledgement and contribute those that have contributed. So gamification, the only thing you want to be careful of is bureaucracy. When you align the rewards and the point system and all that stuff, it can get a little crazy. So you want to make sure that it's not so attainable and it's not so far off that people get the gratitude, the acknowledgement now and not in a year from now or not 6 months from now, because then all the things that they may have done, they may have forgotten about. The last and final principle of leading with gratitude is bring it home. Bring it home. We need to live at work and at home in a way that is it flows. We want to be one way at work and one way at home. And of course, when we come home, we want to be grateful. We want to be smiling. We want to greet our loved ones with a smile, our kids, our spouse. We want to show gratitude to our spouse. Right now, people are working from home. They may be doing, the laundry. They're doing their job. They're homeschooling. I mean, it's crazy. Everything that people are doing and are being asked to do. They're trying to work and have Zooms and they've got a baby on their hip. I mean, that's life right now. So we all need to show a lot of gratitude for what people are bringing to the workforce and home in the midst of what we are all experiencing right now. Give your kids a break. Give your spouse a break. If they do something, not everything has to be a big deal. Let it slide. Don't let it be a big deal. Also, become more grateful to your partner. I think I mentioned that. Smile. There's nothing better than to getting a cup of coffee at Starbucks or dealing with the postal guy or the person that's helping you in the checkout line at the grocery store. Just simply give a smile. Do you know how much you can affect somebody's day by simply stepping up and giving a smile and acknowledging, hey, I appreciate you, appreciate the job you're doing, thank you. That can make a person's day more than anything. Another great thing is bring 3 things to dinner. And I thought this was really good, again, for families. So sitting down at dinner, asking everybody, what was their favorite thing about the day? What were they most grateful for about the day? And what are they most grateful for by somebody sitting at that table with them? Or what are they grateful for by somebody who may not be sitting at that table, but is a loved one, a family member, or a friend? Teaching gratitude to our kids is probably one of the best things we can do. Also, serve together. Perhaps it's a food bank. Perhaps it's working in a soup kitchen for the homeless. Doing that as a family, I know there's a lot of families that do that. Thanksgiving Day, they all go and serve Thanksgiving dinner to the homeless. Doing activities like that really help everyone to be able to understand the importance of gratitude and appreciation. So teaching our kids gratitude is truly very, very important. So I think that is about it for our 8 practices for leadership and showing gratitude in the workplace and showing it at home. So I hope you found some value. Please provide comments below. I'd love to reply to them, and I'd love to hear what you have to say, because I don't know it all. Nobody knows it all. So we can always learn from each other. Again, my name is Brenda Wise. My company is Success Training and Consulting, and I love and I am excited about being able to inspire and to generate goodwill through gratitude in the workplace and at home. So thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day wherever you may be in this world, and stay healthy and safe. Take care. Thank you.